If you were to roll the clock back 40 odd years, you'd find people carrying around a notepad and a pencil, like this, or pen. These little books were filled with to-do lists, phone numbers, notes to yourself, among other things. And these served as the proto all-in-one device, an equivalent paradigm to the PDAs that would follow in the late 90s. What is relevant to note here is that if you were to check the other pocket on your jacket, you'd probably find music, specifically the music player, be it cassette, CD, or iPod. This device was always present, and when the very early cellular phones came around, they took up a third spot next to your notebook and your music player. This third slot was indicative of the modular approach to adding functionality to your pocket via a separate device. The secondary device is a product of this era and has all but vanished from our world as it is. This was the norm, having many different devices on you at any given time, made to do different tasks. There was always another device in your other pocket that did something else. This iconic duo of cellular phone and Walkman, in my case it's a CD player, and yes, this still works, was the norm, to a degree that when the iPod was released, it was only intended to replace the Walkman. It was not intended to take over the role of the cell phone. The iPod and Walkman represent this secondary device. The goal wasn't necessarily unification, but modularity. Its modular approach fit into your life as it was, rather than a unifying approach for all your devices. A vestige of this era still exists in the humble grocery store list, that you still see people write down and carry around stores to this very day. There are probably people shopping in the cashierless Amazon store with a post-it note stuck to the back of their phone. It really is a testament to the paradigm of this secondary device. The iPod transformed from a secondary device into an app, then into SaaS, software as a service. The music player became a service that you could no longer outright own. The process of late-stage commodification that happened to the iPod removed features that were core to the user experience. Apple took away your ability to use the secondary device as you saw fit. We took away the headphone jack so that we could sell you our headphones. Again, along with the general SaaSification of all our products and software, they leveraged this power to take things away from you that you expected to be permanent. Adobe and the Pantone functional monopoly could only really happen after your ownership is taken away. My gripes with SaaS aside, the experience of using a music streaming service via the headphones Apple has decided are correct is frankly disgusting. Apple doesn't know what's best for you, while tossing scraps at you in the form of the dongle, or worse yet, charging for functionality that has no reason being separated from the core experience at all. Ran out of space for a headphone jack, my ass. But convenience is the new name of the game. Devices produced today have the goal of taking over every previous function, that calls, music, notes, etc. This new all-in-one approach has been the goal since we realized that the PDA could evolve into a device that actually makes calls too. The all-in-one approach is something that, in my opinion, has drawbacks, warranting a reconsideration of the whole unification approach. This approach reduces choice through the unnecessary elimination of modularity. The convenience trap, as I will call it, is, like all things, something that cannot run unchecked. The prime relevant example of this is the loss of the headphone jack. You saw this coming. I ranted about this already. But the AIO approach isn't inherently flawed. Taking notes on my phone is largely an upgrade from the pen and paper we used to carry around. The problem lies in charging me a monthly fee to take those notes, whereas I could just buy a notepad and I could just take my notes. I'm looking at you, Evernote. So SaaS bad, secondary device good? Basically, yeah. The whole reason for talking about this is not only to point it out, but to offer up some potential solutions and why I choose them. I have a primary phone, usually an Android device. It's my Z Flip 5 in this case, that sits in this pocket on my shirt most days. Note the absence of content creation or even content consumption. I don't watch videos or play games on my phone, but I have a secondary device that rotates in my metaphorical other pocket. It could be the big screen. Sometimes I use my Galaxy tablet for consumption uses, watching videos, the occasional mobile or emulated game, and some occasional S Pen doodling. This device provides a bigger 10-inch screen, a stylus-driven interface, and more flexibility for creation, should I so choose. It could be the maximum music device. Sometimes my secondary device is my LG G8X that has my entire music library of purchased music from 2004-ish to now that I actually own the files of, as well as downloaded playlists of music from streaming platforms that I do reluctantly use. But this device provides me with an SD card slot, a really nice DAC amp combo that pushes nicer headphones, and the headphone jack to do it, that my daily phone used to have. Sometimes I just want to listen to music. No calls, no interruptions, just music. It could be the minimal music device. Other times I want to listen to music with no wires, or the functional equivalent, on a device that's small enough to disappear in a pocket, again with no interruptions. This device can be an old iPod like the old iPod Touch, a Shuffle, a Classic, a Nano, even my old original iPod Classic. These devices provide minimal friction and are usually controlled on the headset and are set it and forget it. Well, I will evangelize this concept from the mountaintops. There are some of you that will see no point in this concept, and that's fair. I can't and wouldn't try to make you care about something not relevant to you. Maybe you are just happy with your streaming services and you don't want to put any more thought into it. I don't know if I'm going to change your mind. But this SaaS problem is not going away anytime soon. There's way too much money to be made on the rental service model, and I refuse to participate in it. And I would implore you to at least know what you're participating in. Some of the SaaS models are functional monopolies and are way harder to avoid. I mean, look at Adobe and Pantone. Again, my gripes with SaaS aside, the loss of functionality, manipulation of what is a core feature, and scummy paywalling are practices that I outright refuse to participate in. This is the concept on display here. I refuse to pay for garbage service when a realistic secondary device is available. Sure, not everyone owns as much tech junk as I do, but if you can't stand the interruptions or paying monthly to rent your content, there are very inexpensive ways to add other devices into your rotations. The iPhones with the headphone jack, that is the iPhone 6S and older. Any older Android device. A digital audio player, DAP. Any old iPod that you can find for cheap. Old iPods are a great way to get into this on the cheap, or at least for a one-time payment. The secondary device is a legacy of having more control of your technology experience and the embrace of the module. It's something that I believe deserves to be engaged with, or at the very least, be heard. Do you have room in your metaphorical second pocket for an iPod? That you have a headphone jack that you can load with your music and slide it into your second pocket. Boy, do I miss the small iPods. Thank you for watching. This is Lex. There are buttons that do things under the videos that you should interact with, and hope to see you soon. I personally carry around my phone in one pocket of my shirt and a secondary music player in the other pocket. That can be any of these devices I've shown you so far. Oftentimes, it's a device with a headphone jack so that I can wear a wired set of headphones like these to listen to my music while I'm out. Occasionally, I'll want the convenience of Bluetooth, but I'll still pull Bluetooth from one of these old devices because they're so easy to use. Maybe it's because I've gotten used to these old click wheel devices, but this is my preference, is to do this whenever I just want to listen to music. I'm not worried about necessarily sound quality. I mean, the sound quality that comes out of this is great, but when I want music and nothing else, I reach for an iPod. I reach for my maximum music device, something with a headphone jack. And these live in my second pocket. I hope you found some use for this concept, Maybe the secondary device is not something that is relevant to you, but maybe you'll consider going out and purchasing actual hardware to put your actual music on, assuming you have actual music. Not everybody does now. I realize that's a generational thing, but I have another video where I talk about owning your own content and do you actually own any of your own music. I still buy my music on iTunes, or I'll go and buy it on whatever digital music store that I can, and I have a folder of music that I keep. It's gotten pretty large over the years, but it's still the best way to do it. And in a pinch, if I absolutely need music, it is all on my primary phone. I don't like listening to music this way, but if in a pinch, then that's what I'll do.